Welcome to another episode of Draft Room. I'm Tom. Today, I'm here with copywriter Tyler Freeland. Tyler, thank you so much. Welcome to Draft Room.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, let's do
Cheers.
that. We're drinking good bourbon here today. So I want to jump right into questions, but first, let's get into your background a little bit and how you became a copywriter.
Short story, or maybe it's a long story. I'm not sure. So when I got out of the Marine Corps, before I got out of the Marine Corps, I wanted to be a novelist.
As every Marine wants to be.
Of course. Every Marine infantryman wants to be a novelist.
Everyone's a rifleman and a novelist, as
Exactly.
you know.
So I went to the American University of Paris to study creative writing. Started writing on the streets of Paris, writing in bars, at cafes, what have you.
Yeah.
I was living the novelist dream. When I got back to the States, I realized that I needed money.
That's crazy.
Obviously. And the next best thing was copywriting, which I had no idea really what it was, just from like hearsay, people talking about it,
Sure.
people talking about Mad Men, which I hadn't watched yet.
Okay.
So living in downtown Cleveland, I'm working at like a government agency, like a workforce something, and trying to get into copywriting while also getting my master's in communication theory and methodology. I have to say the whole thing because it sounds really cool. It's really just communications.
Okay.
Or communication masters.
Again, the typical career path of a jarhead. Just want to make sure everybody
Exactly
understands that.
And I saw there was a portfolio night at this major agency in downtown Cleveland. And I looked at kind of like the headliner of all like the creative directors who were going to be there. And I submitted my $25, probably the only thing I had left in my bank account, and went to this agency for portfolio night. When I got there, I realized I don't even know what a portfolio is, let alone really what a copywriter does. I knew there was story involved, right? So I immediately left the agency before things started, while they were still in their little happy hour. Went to the bar across the street called the Map Room, took a shot of Jameson, and tried to figure out what I was going to do for a portfolio.
Okay.
So I went back to my apartment and I just gathered everything I had written in the last, 5 or 6 years, which is mainly on my typewriter.
Sure.
And it was kind of like a speed dating with each creative director. And I wasn't necessarily trying to look for a job. I mean, I did tape my resume on all the walls, even though I didn't really have much of a resume. But I was really asking questions. I want to know how I get into the advertising agency.
Okay.
So what I would do with each kind of spin of the table, each in front of each creative director, I would take out all my writings, just span them, like just put them all over the table, like a deck of cards.
Okay.
And said, I don't really know anything about advertising, but I know with brand, there's something to do with story, and I can write a story.
Okay.
And then I just went on asking questions. And the last individual, a co-founder of Twist Creative in Cleveland, Ohio, Connie Ozan, she kind of took me under her wing, introduced me to her husband, who's the other co-founder. And within 3 weeks, after a short interview, they took a liking to me, and I was finally a junior copywriter and brand strategist, which another thing I had no idea what the hell that was.
What's a brand strategist? Yeah. All right. Okay. So why don't we start from the beginning in case people were as confused as you might have been in your beginning of your career. What the hell is a copywriter and what do you do?
I'm still trying to figure it out. And I think it's changing. And I think a lot of agencies or even in-house creatives sometimes don't really know what it is.
Sure.
Especially with the long form content and blogs. There's a big difference between a content writer and a copywriter. A copywriter in my perspective and how I guess kind of saw myself through the career is someone who grabs attention, who makes you react to something, whether it be a click or I'll even take a grin if you're looking at the words. But I mean, back in history of copywriting, everyone they used to call it a salesman with words or what have you,
Sure.
which I can agree to some extent, but to me, it's about grabbing attention.
Okay. What makes a good copywriter?
I think a good copywriter is not someone who's just good at words, but I definitely think that is an aspect. Someone who's able to do something with 3 words, just do it. I hate to use the Nike cliche, but or got milk, 2 words.
Sure.
And able to convey a response in as little words as possible, and move people to act. But a copywriter has to look beyond the page. It has to look beyond. They have to look beyond the words. And I learned this kind of early on. They have to learn the brand. They need to learn the story behind the brand, the audience that they're speaking to. They need to communicate both verbally and visually, writing the scripts, thinking through concepts, thinking through entire campaigns, thinking through design as well. Like, how do I have this idea in my head? How do I convey that to design so that we can create this concept?
Yeah, so you not only have to think about the words, but also, and so many other aspects, the visuals that kind of ride along with those words, right?
I think so. I think that separates someone as a copywriter, and I think that's how you move up to where you eventually want to be as a copywriter and
Yeah.
creative director or what have you.
Yeah.
Because if you can't convey those things, if you can't pass on those things
Yeah.
or talk to design, who is essentially your right-hand guy or gal, that concept isn't going to move forward.
Yeah, to me, from being a creative director, I know the 2 paths to being a CD is either through the copywriting, path, or from the design path. And I think more often than not that the copywriting path to me is more solid because you really have to think through both sides of that, right? The words matter, the visuals matter, and those 2 things is what moves people,
Correct.
gets them to do the thing you want them to do, the call to action, right? So,
Exactly. And there's nothing better than a designer who also is good with words, that
Yeah.
can understand what you're saying or what these words mean and how to take a very rough sketch on a whiteboard and turn it into something that's gold.
Yeah. So talk to me about your process a little bit and how you approach the difference between maybe creative writing and commercial writing, because I think you do both. And so do you have different processes to get to that end result, or are they the same no matter
Yeah.
what you're approaching when you're kind of looking at projects?
Yeah, I think there's always an audience, whether you're writing to yourself or you're writing to a certain demographic or profession.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, people can look up, you do your research, you look at, okay, what do people in this industry, what's their pain or what have you. And all that's good. But I think just in general, as a writer, it's all about experience, like experience out in the world, talking to people, observing people. How does that person, flick their cigarette? Like that's interesting to me. Or how does that person talk about their job? Those things interest me. It's like that Good Will Hunting scene where he's like, oh, when you talk about war or you think about war, you're probably quote Shakespeare, like once more into the breach, dear friends. Like you can read all you want, but to have an experience and to interact with actual customers or experience observation of the world, it's never going to feel, I guess, authentic or real.
Yeah. So why don't we talk a little bit about, so obviously you are a copywriter and that's what you do for a living, but I want to talk a little bit about some of your personal projects, some
Right.
of your creative writing. I know you have written a novel, so I'm interested to kind of explore how you went about that and how you
Sure.
feel about it. I know, like with work that I do, um, it changes over years.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt a certain way when I created something
Yeah.
10 years ago, and now I look back at it and I either love that or cringe at it.
Oh yeah.
So talk to me about, I think you wrote a novel early on, and I'm wondering how that sort of evolution of you getting older and having, getting married and having kids, how that
Sure.
changes your perspective on the work that you've done previous.
Yeah. Um, there are times where this is an unpublished novel. It's just collecting
Yeah.
dust really most of the time. I don't really get into it often. There are times where like I have a spark like, man, I should get in there and edit it and do something with
Yeah.
it. But I don't, and maybe it's like that whole past thing, like would it be different if I approached this? Would it be better? Would it be worse? Or should I just let bygones be bygones with the novel? Um, One thing that doesn't change though, and like one of my projects that is going to be ongoing in my life is kind of where I started with writing. And Natalie talked about, military and artists and how they kind of they take from what they've experienced
Yeah.
or what have you.
Yeah.
When I was in the Marine Corps, when I started writing, it was really like those letters from home. And it took me a while to figure out, and letters to the editor from my local newspaper that I would write to.
Yeah.
Which is a very local, small newspaper. That's probably the only reason I was able to, them to accept whatever my writing was. But it just came back to letters. It was better than staring into the void, for one. And I felt like I was speaking to someone. But I started this thing called just Dear Reader.
Okay.
So it sprung from, letters to home when I was in the military and all that. But also I would always you always hear at a funeral, oh, this individual was he was a good guy or a good girl, a good person. But you never get like the nitty gritty. They never say, oh, this guy was an a-hole or anything like that. It's always something so good about that person. So, it was almost like leaving something behind, whoever was that would be, maybe a family member, or something like that. But I wanted to leave something behind, not necessarily as a journal entry, but where I was in like November of 2016, or where my head was at in November of 2025. And you talk about, past and now present self. As I was kind of looking at this podcast and going through, some of my letters, I look back and I'm like, wow, I can't believe you were feeling that way. Or I can't believe, like, I want to give this guy a nudge or a hug, or like, you're doing okay, buddy. It's all right. Or, hey, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have said that. But yeah, I actually have the first letter I wrote.
All right, let's bring out some props here. All right, here we go.
I'll talk about these typewriters too. So while I was in the Marine Corps, I became fascinated with typewriters. And on one deployment, I bought this here 1941 Royal Quiet Deluxe. It's as old as Pearl Harbor, and costs as much as an Apple computer.
Holy
and
shit.
Even then it did. But I had to have it. It was in mint condition when I got it. This guy, like mybrothertypewriter.com, I'm not even sure if it still exists. But he gave me extra ribbons. It was in pristine condition. It was amazing. And then I didn't bring that to Paris because it was too expensive. I sadly had to leave it behind. But this is a 1958 Smith Corona. In mint condition, I would say, in my perspective. My mom found this at a yard sale for $2. But on retail, online, like something that can still type, it's worth at least over 500.
Wow.
So $2, that was my my best friend while I was in Paris. But this is like, here, lefties of the world unite. My grandma gave me that. I just never put it on a car. I use it as a bookmark every once in a while. But I'll try to.
We're gonna put this here.
This is my first Dear Reader letter, November 5th, 2017.
All right.
Dear reader, this is my first letter to you. It could be the last words I ever write. If I were to go down soon, I'd rather leave this earth with a letter. In case something happens, I want you to know that. The real individuals are found in this form of communication. When the writer needs the voice of a soldier from World War II, he or she goes to the letter. When the loved one wants to remember the past, the love goes to the letter. Sadly, this beauty has become antiquated. Words are hard. I don't think it will become extinct. The letter is too adapted for that. There is something too beautiful about it. It's an exchange of being. Here I am in the hands of the reader, under your eyes. Time was invested in order to write it. Time asked for it. And when that human sends it away, bottled up in the letter, time makes the sacrifice, for it doesn't know when the letter will be read. They can be handed, mailed, burnt, and never read. They can be folded into paper planes, wrinkled to a ball. All of this doesn't fucking matter, because the letter has already been written, and passed along. I have already passed myself to the paper. My job is done after the signature. It's too late. I'm already inside. This, nothing can take away from. Imperfection, sorrow, love, joy, hate, all can be brought about from the letter. That shitty sentence is even in there. I paused for a few seconds. I just paused again. Paris in the fall, another life back in Ohio. I like to be alone, though my island sucks. I'm not always good, and sometimes I consider myself bad. My life in this moment between space and time is here in the letter. Cordially, Tyler. And I have my crappy signature there.
Hey, that was wonderful, everybody.
Yeah.
How do you feel? How do you feel looking back at what you wrote then? What does that bring out to you?
I don't think this individual is sad. I think he's just still trying to sort of find himself. He's where he's meant to be from like a main character perspective, but there's something on the horizon and he needs to keep pushing forward for sure. But he found something in this letter.
Yeah.
And that's, as you go on in this, it's just dear reader after dear reader after dear reader. And I even have a dear reader for you that we don't have to read right now, but
well, my God, you better read.
I have
what are you talking about?
I have hundreds of them, but you can have this one.
Okay.
There's a little Grateful Dead line in there too. I will read the first part because it's in red ink. Like, why is it in red ink? Dear reader, if you're reading this and you have never listened to Broke Down Palace by the Grateful Dead, put that shit on right now while you read. I've already written to you once tonight. I guess I have no one else to talk to, at least nothing of meeting. You can't send this kind of stuff through a text. You can't do it through a post. These kind of words were meant to go through the writer. It is a movement like no other, typing. You see, I experience these things. The shit goes through my senses and gets stored inside me, and it stays there trapped until something tells me to release it. I guess I don't talk about why it's read, but I'm sure it's in another letter somewhere, but you can have that. I got hundreds more.
Did you do this on a typewriter?
That was
how was it read?
So one guy didn't make it. My brother typewriter. I think it's a brother typewriter. It's electric. For some reason, when I got it, it had red ink, or maybe this one had red ink. I don't know. I have no idea.
How are there no typos on here? I don't know how I couldn't type.
I'd pick out the best one for you. I mean, all of these are just.
I was wondering about that.
There are typos, and that's one thing I like about the typewriter too. Is it is raw, and most of the time I just leave them there, or I'll pen in and edit, but I don't go back and rewrite it. I let it be as raw as I was when I wrote that. Yeah, all the imperfections.
So you have this stuff that you've done in the past, right? Where you're kind of, you dear reader,
Mhm.
are you doing something like this currently, where you're kind of taking the same sort of concept
Yeah.
and continuing on as you grow as a writer?
Absolutely. I think.
Yeah.
A little sip of bourbon.
That's a good idea.
Treat yourself.
I will. All right.
There's two things. So I'm not always writing on a typewriter, especially with a 3-year-old at home. Even though it's a quiet deluxe, it is quiet, just not quiet enough for a toddler.
Sure.
So I'll write other projects I've been so I'm a big runner. I have this ongoing kind of running journal called Running Thoughts. It's a terrible cliche or
Oh, it's not bad.
pun or what have you.
No, I'd be proud of that.
But it's called Running Thoughts. I write kind of a journal entry, and then Charlie, our daughter, I set up her an email that I write Dear Charlie to. So I'll give her that
up.
one day.
All right.
Which I wish I would have thought
Wait, so
of.
you're emailing
from, like,
her on a
sat-
continual basis? Is that what's happening?
on a continual basis, yeah. At least
All
once
right.
a month. I mean, there are times where it's just so easy on the phone too.
Girl
I don't have to go to
dads.
my laptop. I can just, and I always end like, I hope you're doing okay in the past or the present and future
Yeah.
and all that. So she loves that, or she will love that, hopefully. Or she'll be like, Dad, this is terrible.
Cringe of
Why the
shit.
heck did you write
No,
this?
no, no. I think
She's
she'll probably
garbage.
cherish that.
And then and I don't know if you want to get into AI on the creative process or
I
not.
absolutely want to get into AI.
I wish I would have brought
process.
this crappy leather journal that was torn up by a golden retriever once that took most of all my writings away. So I took this journal.
Did you just do a dog ate my homework sort of
literally
fucking? All right.
literally crazy. I took my Jimmy John sandwich once too. But
All right.
I had this journal that was given to me by my dad's best friend. This leather journal. It came with like a postcard from Machu Picchu. Am I correct in that, right?
Yeah, sure.
And it was like this small little leather bound, but my wife will tell you my handwriting is hieroglyphic. It's terrible, and I'm maybe just because I'm left-handed capable, I don't know, but it's absolutely horrendous. And I was going through it at the beginning of the year, and I could not understand a freaking word, not one, nothing. At this point, ChatGPT had been really good at copy or words and imagery. Before, I mean, you do this like five years ago, it was impossible. It couldn't even write the word Pepsi,
Right.
or even conjure up the logo. So what I started doing was going through these journals or entries or what have you, taking a picture and prompting ChatGPT saying, you are a pattern recognition expert. You know how to pull words and kind of patternize words to fit sentences, all like this huge prompt.
Yeah.
And what happened was amazing. Like it was like I was blind, but now I see.
Sure.
And it would get there enough to where, oh, I know what I was supposed to say there.
So wait, you prompted AI to recognize your own handwriting.
Correct.
Because you couldn't.
Correct.
And then it.
Yes.
Just want to make sure we're clear on what
Yes.
was happening here.
Yes.
You're using AI
Using AI
to help out your doctor-like.
to translate my own words because I couldn't.
I'm sure
read
that's what
them.
the developers of AI always envisioned on how the technology will be used in the future.
Exactly.
You're killing it.
Well, we talk about being pessimistic. You can be optimistic.
Well, that makes me
Creatively.
feel very optimistic about the future.
So that's what I started doing, and
Okay.
I thought it was going to take me a year. It
Yeah.
didn't.
No.
I was able to do this. I just finished up actually before this podcast, like right before I sat
On the
down.
way here?
On the way here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was amazing because I mean, like I said, it took words that I couldn't understand or read, my own words,
Sure.
and gave me something. And then there was what AI gave me, and then I edited in my notes on my Apple iPhone, and then another edit when I transferred it to the typewriter.
Okay.
Which I call it journal translation. So like, it's not, it's the meat and potatoes of what I wrote, but there are someone like, man, I'm not going to put that word in there. That sounds terrible.
Oh, okay.
So I would rewrite it or translate it in a different way.
All right.
For instance, I was going through my journal. I'll put this down. I'm done with it. And I was like, Ron Rico. Who the heck is Ron Rico? And AI translated it for me. No, it was like Ron Rigo. It's like, who's Ron Rigo?
This is from some of your writing.
From my writing.
Sure.
And I'm like, who the heck is this?
Yeah.
And then I go through whatever the rest the AI like provided, and it stuck in my head. Ron Rico was this cheap rum that my buddy and I would buy in Alaska when we were commercial salmon fishing. It was the only thing we could really afford.
Right.
It was like $3. I don't even know if it's still around. I should look in an ABC for it. It would bring back some memories.
Yeah.
But I was able to find that word or that name and like tie it together based on it because AI gave it to me.
So as we're going into the conversation in AI, what you're saying is you're a big optimist because of the fact that it helps translate your chicken scratch into real.
Think of what doctors can do.
Yeah, you're obviously using the technology for what it was being used for. So wait, let me ask in a more sort of workflow scenario here.
Sure.
Are you using AI? Here, and the thing about copywriting, or at least writing in general, I think everybody knows this to me is more like AI and coding, right? We know AI can do very, very well at coding. Sure. I think we're seeing that AI does very well in at least initial writing, that is creating outlines, creating themes.
Oh yeah.
How do you utilize AI in a workflow that is sort of responsible, ethical? Because we talk about this on the design side. When I talk to creatives and I'm talking to them about how they should utilize AI, it's always in an ethical way. That is, you're not utilizing it as a full tool. You're using it as a partial tool to do the next things. Mm-hmm. So I think it could be even easier to utilize, AI in writing and in a non-ethical, in a real creative way. How do you use it, and how would you tell people, especially young writers, how they should be utilizing AI?
I would be very, I don't know if the word is nervous or what it is. I'd be terrified, I guess, going into being a copywriter today.
Yeah.
With all the AI
with those tools. Yeah.
Because I think you're missing a process. I think you're missing something there. You're going from, you've never wrote multiplication out by hand, or you've never done cursive, and you're going right to the calculator or the auto pen or what have you.
Yeah.
For me though, it's marketing and advertising. It's already a little unethical. So you're okay to blur the lines a little bit here and there?
Let's unpack that. So when you say unethical, you're talking about like what? Manipulation of audiences, or what do you mean by that, I guess?
I think the pace of marketing and advertising is so fast now. And it's just like, we need to push content out to get the SEO. We need to get the right words in front of.
Are you saying it correlates to people's attention span, maybe, where they don't have a lot of time to go in depth?
I think it's about rising to the top in your search.
Okay.
I think people, honestly, if you want to go, I think people have an attention span still. I mean, people are listening to 3-hour, 4-hour, 8-hour podcasts, listening to audiobooks nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, novels and things like that.
Or look at, shows on, any entertainment platform. We are tuning in for long form. I mean, I'm in the middle of 3 or 4 different, series right now. So the attention's there. So
the attention's there. It's the demand for, marketing content to rise to the top of your even your AI platform. Like
Yeah.
if someone chat or types in ChatGPT about a certain issue or pain point, you want your brand to rise to the top,
Sure.
or Google search or what have you.
Okay.
So when it comes to, so right now I'm working on a blog for in-house, right?
Okay.
We have an SEO agency
Sure.
who has an AI element to it where they use a bunch of different AI agents, and it turns out pretty good.
Right.
But you can tell like any other brand could write this.
Okay.
You could search this on any other website and it would read the same. So for me, I want to get in there. Thank you for the outline. Thank you for putting the words, but I want to throw in some human element into that. Like I don't necessarily change the keywords that we're looking for.
Yeah.
But it goes back to like if you're not enjoying the writing, they're not enjoying the reading.
I love that. That's great. And we've worked together, and you write beautifully. Let me just throw that out there. And you write beautifully in subject matter that is not necessarily beautiful.
Yeah.
So I want to say, and that's hard to do.
Right.
So I really I'm not a writer. I'm bad generally with writing and words. And it's really impressive to see people that are good at it. Tell me, maybe I'm wrong here, but tell me why you think that human copywriting won't go away and that it's here to stay, or tell me why you think it's like the paralegal, industry where it's probably going to go away based upon, AI technology. Do you have thoughts on either way on that? Can AI duplicate the things that I've seen you do very well? And is it just a matter of time before it can?
I would lie. I'd be lying if I said that AI wasn't by my side by the things you read.
Yeah.
But if you saw a side-by-side of what AI gave me in the final product, you'd be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, the human element comes into play there very well.
It has to. And I don't like, we talked about ethical, unethical. It's really, I don't want to put something out in the wild that's slop, that's trash, that anybody else can duplicate.
Very good.
And needs to have a spin to it.
Yeah, I've said this. I said this earlier tonight, so I'll regurgitate this a bit, but I really do believe in it. AI slop is to design and, let's say, copywriting as mumble rap is to hip hop.
Yeah,
I think there's no better comparison.
100%.
Because it's you don't get the poetry there.
No,
without, having that human element, and I love that right now.
Right. And to go back to your question, I think, and it goes back to earlier in our conversation, the copywriter needs to think beyond the page. He needs to think, he or she needs to think beyond the words.
Agreed.
And concepts and campaigns and human behavior and all of these things. And I think copywriters and content writers are already getting phased out based on this. And I'm sure copywriters are getting phased out as well in different areas. But those who are able to, again, think beyond the page and also think promptly.
Yeah.
Who can write the best prompt? Who can feed AI the right information to get the right output?
So you're feeling there's still some creativity in there, even 100%. If it's transitioned into prompting or something like that.
And I think you talked about this in another podcast.
Yeah.
There may be an art in the prompting itself.
Yeah, right? So there might be something there.
Yeah,
there might be some hope left for us creatives.
100%.
Well, we're definitely going to end on that. So to get more of Tyler here, tylerfreeland.com. Everybody give it up. Thank you so much for coming on. Tyler, right here, buddy. Wonderful, bud.